Today we're going to start a series of videos that shows how to develop an algorithm that will make color maps like these. More important than making the actual color maps is the process that I'm going to go through to develop the code that makes such a color map. You can see here that same kind of color map that smoothly goes from one color to another has been done in MATLAB already. Let's show the code that I wrote to make such a color map. We can see here that it was quite simple code that I put in just the beginning color, the middle color, and the end color. Before we begin showing how to develop the code that would do this, I want to understand more about what's going on with a color map. So let's run this code and look at the results. I'm going to say I only want 10 items in my color map. And we can see that a color map is simply a 3 by n set of numbers that represent the different colors in RGB going across. So we can see our beginning color here on the top line and the end color down on the bottom and the middle color here in the middle. What do some of the standard color maps look like, and how can we understand how they vary? So let's look at one of the existing color maps. I'm going to call for bone 7, and we can see what that color map looks like. Again, it's varying. Let's see how it varies by using the color map editor. So I need to set this color map. So I've set the current figure to that color map, so now I can use the color map editor. And we can see here that there were several points on the color map. I want it to simply vary from the two endpoints, so I'm going to delete and delete like that. And let's look at some of the color maps that we're trying to emulate here. So using the color map editor here, I'm going to double click and try and choose a color like the one that we see right here. And if we look, it appears that these are doing the same thing. So we've gotten the color map that we want. Now I want to understand how the numbers in that color map are interpolated. So I'm going to hit OK. At the command prompt, I'm just going to say C is equal to get the current figure color map. And there is my color map. Now if I plot this, I can see that we're just linearly interpolating from the beginning points to the end, so that should make it very simple to make color maps of this nature. There's not going to be a lot of planning required to make a function like this, so I'm just going to say function CMap as my output is going to be interpolate CMap. And I need the color start, color end, and the number of points, like this. And basically what I'm going to do is do a linear interpolation from each of the points. So I'm going to say CMap, which rows do I want? Well, I want all the rows, 1 through num. Of which column? Well, the first column. And that's going to be a lin space from color start. Which one? Well, I want the first one. And then color end, one like that. Let's stretch this out a little bit so it's easier to see. Don't forget the equal sign. And we could do this for different values of 1 here, 1, 2, and 3 to get all three of them, but of course that's what a for loop is for I equals 1:3, and then change that to I, end. Let's save that. Now we can do a little test. I'm going to say CMap is equal to interpolate CMap. And I need to give it a beginning color. Why don't we give it 0, 0, 0? An end color. Why don't we give it 1, 1, 1? And I want 10 points on there. Looks like I spelled the file name wrong. You can see I called it interpolate instead of interpolate, so I need to fix that really quickly. And I'm going to say file save as. There we go. Get rid of the old one. Now let's try it again. Okay, there was some kind of a problem. This gives us a chance to use the debugger. I'm going to put my breakpoint right here. Run this again. Let's step through. And I'm wondering what's the result of this area is. So I'm going to look at each part individually. Those look good. They were single numbers as I expected. So let's try this part. And I see my problem. This is coming out with 100 values, and I really just need to have n. I had forgotten to specify to linspace how many data points I want. So now I come back in here, give num, try it again. That gives me my 10 data points, so this should work now. I'm just going to exit debug mode and try this again. I forgot to unset my breakpoint, so I need to do that. Let me get rid of the breakpoint and hit save. That brings us out of debug mode. Let me try again. And now I have my color map, and if I plot it, it's not very exciting because all of them are varying from the same point. Let's try that again with a different set of input. Why don't we go from red to white, and make that 0.5 in there so they all vary a little bit. Plot it again. There we can see that we're interpolating very nicely. Let's bring up another plot real quick, and I'm going to change the color map of this. And now we can see we're doing that very nicely. Let's turn on the color bar. And this is starting to get us where we're trying to go. We have the basic function that will create the color map, but there's more work to be done.